Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight to spend the next hour together, meditating and reflecting. Also, relaxing for a while. No matter what have you done in the past whole day, no matter how busy you were, now let's come back to this moment together to walk out our thoughts and return to peace and calm. It's really wonderful to have the chance to sit with you together, to explore the mind, piece by piece. But also, we look at the mind totally. We tackle each part of the mind without losing the totality of it, which is the key to understand the nature of mind. Actually, so what we have talked about is quite simple, right? Just work out thoughts and come back to present. But this simple sentence conveys too much meaning. What are thoughts? Which part of life is made up of thoughts? What is the boundary of thoughts in the life? There's no easy answer to these questions because everyone has a different experience of life. Everybody has different mentality. And to be able to understand which part of your life are thoughts, mental images, or illusions requires your observance, which means that you need to watch it carefully, attentively, to understand what is going on your mind. This process can't be replaced by anyone else. You can't really find somebody else to help you do that. It is irreplaceable. You are the only person who can really turn inward and understand the self, you, the mind. Not only your mind, the mind of the human beings, the consciousness of this human being. Why do we have regular meditation sessions? You may ask. If this content is so simple, it seems that we can finish in one session, but actually we can't. Because your life is dynamic. Everyone's life is dynamic. For the whole day, how many unwholesome influences you have received. All kind of factors in your life are still working on you. So it's not something we can do to finish this stuff forever. Oh yeah, if as I can acquire mindfulness technique, I can be quiet forever. That's only a thought, which means an illusion, is it? We have to be present at each minute, each second, to observe the mind, the mental activities. And for each minute, there's a new situation. Always new. We thought it might not be new, so we resorted to the past knowledge about the self, and also the experience. Try to understand at each minute. But the very way to interpret now only distort only distort this moment, only put people into a new loop, a quagmire. To be able to meditate, actually, to look at life with a pair of refreshed eyes. Freshness is so important. Freshness means one has to be free from thoughts, illusions, all kinds of past experiences or knowledge about the life. That's why we have this regular meditation session, so people can join in to come down together to counteract those all kinds of unwholesome influences in the life. Think about the whole day. How many things can trigger the self, the ego? And how many things one can be trapped into? All kinds of small things, unimportant things. But as long as one gets trapped into it, the small things can be big things, right? So before we start today's topic, which is relation, let's look at the relation together. After 3 minutes quietness or silence. During the next 3 minutes, let's just keep silent. You can reflect how many moments of the day you are not present, or simply focus on breath. Focus on the sensation of it, not the thought or mental images of it. And after these 3 minutes, let's come back and start the exploration together. Look at life. It's not your life, my life. Look at the life. How life is built up on the thoughts. Look at the whole society, the whole social construct, the economic construct. Which part of the elements are thoughts? We had to admit that the life has involved too much thought, too much illusion. Look at the culture across the globe. No matter which country or which place, people in different geographical locations share different common mental images or illusions. So the culture is defined as the collection or this kind of collective mental images, those illusions. So the culture merely some thoughts dividing the whole population. Ironically, we still see that, that's the diversity of the culture. But actually, we are divided by culture, are we? Now the culture is becoming more and more individual. Everyone has their own culture, which is unbelievable. To look at this world built on thoughts, we need to understand with a very subtle mind, which is also need to be very peaceful and quiet to understand the whole construct. There are something in your life can be very obvious as thoughts. Most people can easily recognize it when the mind is really quiet and still. But there are also some other things which is built on thoughts, and as a consequence, it might not be easy, at least not so obvious, to recognize their thoughts. Today's topic is relation. Relation. Relationship or relation. That's a very important concept for human being, right? Because we are living in relations. In relation to anything, a lot of things. And via relation, we define who we are mentally, which is also part of thoughts, unfortunately. But what are relations? Why do we have relations? And why relations are still in the domain of thoughts, in the realm of thoughts? Why the relation leads to all kinds of mental chaos? relation is one of the most challenging problem for the human psyche. We have the relationship with all kinds of persons, people from different places in your life. That's the relation between people, which is a very chaotic place. You know that. There's another relation. It's between the person and the things, which is also a very ugly topic. You may well ask. When we define a relation, we use thought to make something related. So, have you ever noticed the process of relating something to something else is a pure mental process? It's a mental action. Like the human relations. By the way, it's not to deny it or say it's something too bad, but let's just look at it non-judgmentally. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a relationship. Nothing about that. But we need to look at the essence of it. And then you will have a very conscious decision about this. Look at the human relationships. Mother, father, children, family relationships. Husband, wife, colleagues, classmates, roommates, friends. There's so many kind of human relations as we define by words or thoughts. Because this kind of a mental action, which is called relation, we have the tribalism, all kinds of tribes, right? The tribes can be a country, can be a family, can be a cliche, small groups, which is also defined by the relations. So because all kinds of relations, we divide people. You are my friends, and you my foes, so I hate you. You're my friends, I like you. So because we have defined those or that kind of relationships between people, and we divide people by those relations, individually and collectively. Individually, I have my friends, my foes. Collectively, I have my country, your country, my company, your company, my group, your group. As long as we have this relationship, we have division, which inevitably leads to all kinds of mental conflicts. The relation between people are not unchanged. It is always changeable, right? Friends can become enemies. Good relationships can turn sour. I believe everybody must experience this in the life. The chaos of relationships, the trouble from it. Also the thinking limited to the relationships. Because relationships, people feel valued, feel a way of existence. Oh, I'm a father. Oh, I'm a son. Oh, I'm a husband. Oh, I'm an engineer. I'm a CEO. All kinds of titles is a reflection of the relationships in one way or another. This part become part of the identity to boost your self-confidence. At the same time, religion also put you into trouble. All kinds of issues between the family members, between friends, whatever, because the definition of the relationships. It is only a thought, right? As we said just a few minutes ago. We use thoughts to concoct so many relationships. And the chaos is there. You feel it. You get it. Another relation is between the human and things. If things are really different from humans, we have this ownership, acquire something, to try to establish the relationship between the things and the me, the self, the ego. I have a land, or I have a beautiful house. The house belongs to me. I need to defend it. I need to regard the house as part of me. And there's a huge burden on the mind. Because people just include something which never belongs to the mind. The only establish the relation between the thing and the human, and the attachment to that relation, which is a thought, to make this experience continue, right? Have you ever noticed that this ownership is very, very empty? It's too empty. But this unfortunately becomes the foundation of many societies. The ownership. People try to own something. So people compete against each other to own something. People are so acquisitive because things become part of their life. The materialism. But you know that things couldn't be the part of life. If you are holding on to that thought, which is the relation between things and you, the very attachment to thoughts give you a lot of troubles, right? When your things are changed or impaired or destroyed by other people, it's easy to trigger the self-defense, which only put you into trouble because you regard things as part of you, as part of your ego, actually. Then the chaos starts. So look at all the relations we have had in the human beings. They are all in the realm of thoughts. Which means that the very concept of a relation points to the self, the ego. We define the self first. There's a self we have defined. Then we have the relationship or relation between the self and the people, different selves, and the self and things. And when you talk about the relationships between two people, actually, it's not two people at all. It's about the two mental images, right? People never look at each other truly, only have an impression about the other one. So people only see through all kinds the past impression or mental images to see that person. The other one also doesn't. So the relationship between two people, which is thought itself, falls back to the relationship between two mental images. Because this relation game is purely in the consciousness, it's a game. Unfortunately, that's the relation most people mean on this planet. We are always holding on to this concept on the consciousness. So our self, the ego, can be built upon that. Why do we do this? Isn't it because we are so afraid of being empty, being nothing? So we are holding on to the self to make us feel we are not empty, we are something. In spite of the fact that the self is the only source of all kinds of mental conflicts, as you can feel deeply, right? Before we continue this exploration together, in between the session, halfway, let's meditate first to quieten down the mind. Because talking about this stuff always requires a lot of attention from us, a lot of mental activities. The fact that the mind has been turned down, has been activated. Let's come back to breath and quieten the mind first. Keep the mind on tap, and then we come back for the discussion. So in the next 10 minutes, let's follow the audio guide to do the breath meditation. And see you guys in a few minutes. Now, let's take a 10-minute meditation. Start by taking a moment to find a comfortable position to sit in a posture that you feel relaxed and get alert. Let hands rest on your knees or laps. Let the eyes close gently. Soften your forehead Act a soft smile in the corner of your lips. Breathe naturally. Be aware that you are breathing in. Feel the sensation of breathing in. The region can be the nostrils, can be the belly, can be anywhere. Focus on the part you feel most. As you breathe out, be aware that you are breathing out. Feel the sensation of breathing out. The region can be the nostrils, can be the belly, can be anywhere. Focus on the part you feel most. Fix your attention on the breath. Let go of any thought, words, images. This moment, nothing is more important than breath. While you are listening to the bell, check where your attention is. If it wasn't on the breath, after the bell, gently invite your attention back to the breath and sustain your attention on the breath. Slowly bring your awareness back to this room. Feel into your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes. When you are ready, open your eyes. I hope everybody has a wonderful 10-minute meditation. At least could calm down the mind a little bit. Work out thoughts. Or at least you can observe how basic the mind was. Because thoughts. Because all kinds of relations. The work you are doing. Your families, your all kinds of relationships, the relation between you and the money, between you and all kinds of things you have, phones, career, whatever. So to speak, the relation provides a very rich source of all kinds of thoughts you can think about. And also, thanks to these relationships, you are engaged all the time by all kinds of thoughts, mental images, right? So it's to deeply realize this aspect, not verbally. Like here, what we are doing, we can have a very easy verbal communication, and everybody could understand that, oh yeah, it's really thought. But how can you really incorporate into the life? Which means that we need to go beyond this verbal and superficial understanding, but deeply feel it. Feel the urgent to make a change. Feel the necessity of negating all kinds of thoughts consciously. Here, we negate all the relations conceptually. It does not mean that you have to be alone without interacting with people, forgetting your families. It's not that. But just negate the function of relations as thoughts, which only creates all kinds of mental troubles for each one of us. You can be related to anyone at this moment. It's not about a thought or think about we are related. Then it seems that thoughts creates a sense of permanency. It's not that. At this moment, as you are listening to what we are talking about here, there's a relation between you and me, which only exists at this moment. We don't need to give a name. There's no point to give a label to this relation, but it really exists at the moment because I see you and you see me. Of course, via the internet, it seems like it's an image. But we know that I see you without any bias, and you see me without any bias, without any mental images about me, about you. But if we develop relation into thoughts, which is most people's life, that will give people incessant troubles, challenges. So to meditate is to negate all the conceptual relations. Can you? Like the relation between you and money. When the money is lost, can you not trigger the self-defense? When the job is lost, can you not trigger the self-defense to feel terrible, miserable because that? Can you not react when your colleague give you some unfair comments? When you know that the relation between you and a colleague is some thoughts, and the words coming from that mouth is also random and mindless. You can have anything if you don't define a relationship or relation. But as long as you define relation, you are enslaved to that relation. And you lose all the rest of it. So that's the meditation in life. To deeply feel it. What I can speak now is very limited. Probably that's the boundary of the verse I can use to give you some ideas or reflection on this. And you need to walk for the rest of the journey to deeply feel the emptiness of the relation, to feel the emptiness of the self, which is the combination of all kinds of relations, mental images, or whatever. To deeply feel that all the mental challenges are really self-inflicted, indeed, from the mental world, of course, in such a very dynamic environment of the mind. To observe it, to watch it without any judgments. It requires a lot of honesty, to be really honest with yourself. Look at our life, how many people are using ego to define who they are. So when they are hearing this, when they hear this topic, of course, it is easy to trigger the self-defense, and block the way into the exploration of the mind. So the very process of the inner exploration is the way to dismantle the self. So if you are on the way now, good luck with it, right? Because you are really doing something great, to be really honest with yourself, to understand the self, which is the way to dismantle, destroy the self. So again, from religion, we talk about thoughts because for most people, religion are mere thoughts. From thoughts, we come back to the self. Actually, religion, the self, the thoughts are just interwoven. It's difficult to separate. But anyway, they are all in the domain of the thoughts, the consciousness, the whole content of the consciousness. And the way to find this truth, to deeply feel it, is meditation. As we said before many times, this requires us to have a very subtle and a quiet mind, to be able to observe it, to notice it, to be aware of it. This can only take place at each moment, which means that you have to, if you want to, notice all kinds of mental actions triggered by all kinds of things in your life. To be able to aware of that, you need to be quiet. You have to step back from thoughts without being a thinker. Right? When people are thinking, there's a center. The center is called the thinker, right? The thinker is the self, the ego. Can we observe the thoughts without being an observer, without being a thinker? If we can, that's the way to watch, to observe the thoughts. Yes, the whole process of the meditation is to end the self. So when there's an observance, there's no self, which is the observance. Or else there's a center, there's a self who observes something, which still maintains the division created by the mind. When there's division, there's a conflict, leading to all kinds of chaos of the mind. You must feel it. That's all for today's topic. And before we finish today's session, I am still inviting you to sit down with me for another 3 minutes to quieten the mind so we can live here with peace and calm. The discussion is always triggering the neurons. So always keep the mind quiet. Only a quiet mind can be resilient. Only a quiet mind can be sharp. To help one deeply understand the inner world.
Hey.
Now, let's take a 10-minute meditation. I hope everybody has a very relaxing moment. At the end of the session, the microphone has run out of battery, so I have to change the battery, make sure I can make myself heard by you guys. Good. And thanks again for everybody tonight to be able to sit together, meditate, reflect, and relax. I hope everyone has a good week ahead. Enjoy each day. Enjoy the weather. No matter it's cloudy or sunny. If we can enjoy each moment to the full, that's the life. Walking out of thoughts, coming back to this moment to enjoy the only thing we really have now. So take care, everyone, and hopefully see you guys again in the future sessions. Goodbye.